We should be clear about what the national security law is for, and that is to clamp down on foreign interference and destabilization in Hong Kong. It's designed to address instability, violence, and foreign interference, and to help restore peace and normality. That's necessary because it's the demand of the Chinese people, including most Hong Kong people, which is why 3 million people in Hong Kong have signed a petition supporting the law. People certainly in China remember that Hong Kong was stolen by Britain as part of the Opium Wars and was a British colony for 155 years. So refusing to accept any foreign intervention there now in the post-colonial era is clearly a matter of China's core interests, and the government is expected to defend those core interests. There's nothing unusual or special about any of this. You know, what country doesn't have laws against terrorism, separatism, subversion, and collusion? If there were a similar movement in Britain that was separatist or subversive, how would Britain react if those movements were receiving money, support, and encouragement from the Chinese government? You know, would that be legal under British law? Of course, it wouldn't. We know, for example, that some of the most prominent individuals and groups involved in the protests in Hong Kong receive funding from the US government via the National Endowment for Democracy. We know that the US State Department gives grants to train people in building a so-called pro-democracy movement. We know that prominent protest leaders such as Joshua Wong have testified at US congressional hearings even. So it is important that these loopholes are closed and that Hong Kong is allowed to return to peace and return to normality. Now, it's quite interesting, I think, to look at the countries around the world that are denouncing the security law and then to look at the countries that are supporting it. The countries denouncing it include the US, Britain, Australia, Canada, Japan, France, Germany, and so on. The countries supporting the law include Cuba, Iran, Syria, Venezuela, Palestine, North Korea, Nepal, Zimbabwe, and so on. So there's a rather clear pattern. Imperialist countries, and quite notably the countries that historically have been involved in subjugating China, are against the national security law. Oppressed countries, countries that themselves are victims of imperialist interference, support the law. And that fact, I think, makes it quite obvious that the national security law is about cracking down on foreign interference